Welcome to the Drama Free Workforce Podcast with your host, Jennifer Long. Okay, so we have all yelled at the robots. We call customer service and we spend 15, 20 minutes in an automated maze before we start shouting, "Representative!" into the void, right? We snap at Siri or Alexa when they don't understand us, and it's oddly satisfying because on some level we know there's no relationship there and there's no real threat of that relationship breaking. We've all been doing this for a while now. But let's talk about what's going on when it comes to AI at work. We're not just asking AI to play our music or to tell us the weather. We're now asking tools like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Gemini, Claude, all the other AI systems to help us do things like write contracts, generate work plans, and maybe even support strategically critical decisions. We're putting our AI workflows out there and in front of our customers. That's a very different kind of relationship. And here's where accountability and expectations get interesting. When I work with organizations on accountability, I always have to come back to this. Accountability is about creating clarity. Clarity requires dialogue. Full stop. AI doesn't change that. If anything, it raises the stakes. Leaders are rolling out AI with the promise of do more with less. The ironic. But in many cases, they haven't updated the expectations that match the reality of the tools they're putting into people's hands. They've basically handed out power tools without a safety briefing. So, what sort of organizational context leads to significant AI driven errors that workers don't catch? So, here's a few patterns I'm watching because these are showing up in a variety of environments and industries. The first one is do more with less, right? As the loudest expectation, the cruel irony. Um, if this unspoken message is use AI to go faster, but there's no equal emphasis on, and here's how we'll protect quality and safety, people will do exactly what the context demands. They'll opt for speed. Any utility or construction setting, that might mean AI assisted work plans or risk assessments that no one really has time to deeply review. In knowledge work, it looks like AI generated reports or recommendations being forwarded without a real read or consideration of secondary or tertiary impacts and understandings. You can't be surprised when no one slows down to think if you've made thinking the enemy of performance. The second thing is vague or missing expectations about AI use. Where is AI allowed? Where is it prohibited? When is it a drafting assistant versus a decision maker? What must a human verify before something leaves their desk? If those questions aren't answered clearly and out loud, people make private rules. Some of us will overuse AI. Some of us will underuse it. Some of us will quietly lean on the tool for a decision it was never meant to make. That's not a bad worker problem. That's an expectations problem. The third thing is overtrust in the tool and underconfidence in human judgment. If an AI system is deployed by IT or endorsed by leadership, many workers will assume it must be safe and it must be right. So in construction, that might look like trusting an AI-assisted design check or a schedule optimization without bringing their own experience to the table. In knowledge work, it might look like assuming ChatGPT's confident answer is correct because it just sounds really good. And here's the thing, the tool doesn't own the consequences. People do. And leaders own the context in which those people are working. So do not outsource your thinking to the robot. The fourth thing is no time or explicit capacity to verify. Verification of what your AI is putting out is not a nice to have. It's, when it's in the loop and it's part of the job. If planners, engineers, supervisors, or analysts are scheduled to the edge with no time allocated for a sanity check on what the AI is outputting and how it's really impacting, Structurally, we've decided not to catch errors. You can't hold people accountable for checks you never gave them time or skills to perform. The fifth thing, a punitive culture that makes questioning risky. So if speaking up about a concern gets you labeled as resistant to change or you're not a team player, people will stop questioning the plan. And that includes questioning the AI. In a psychologically unsafe environment, workers will keep their doubts about AI generated procedure, work plan, or analysis to themselves until it shows up as an incident or a rework or a very expensive mistake. Our conversations are our relationships. If the relationship tells me it's not safe to question the robot, I won't question it. And lastly, the sixth thing I'm watching is just blaming the damn robot. One more wrinkle I'm starting to see when things go wrong is the AI becomes the new scapegoat, right? It was the tool. That's what ChatGPT gave me. The system generated the plan. In my work, right, this is called denial of ownership. The reflexive, it's not my fault, that sends us hunting for someone or something else to blame. AI just happens to be the latest, shiniest option. Sometimes there really is a system problem. The organization mandated an AI tool without clear guidelines. The training was minimal. Workload made it impossible to verify anything. In those cases, leaders absolutely own a big part of the failure. You can't design a context that practically demands blind trust in the tool and then act shocked when people do just that. But sometimes the AI did it is simply a shield, right? Basic checks that were expected never happened. The tool was used outside of clear boundaries. Doubts were ignored because it just felt easier to hit send. In those moments, blaming the tool is just a new costume for an old behavior, avoiding responsibility. An accountability focused response has to hold both truths, right? When we look at the system and ask, what about our expectations, training, and workload made this the logical choice at the time? And we look at the individual and ask, given that context, what choices did they make? What did they need to own? And where do they need to learn and improve to do it differently next time? Because even when AI is in the loop, we don't get to outsource our thinking or our ownership to the robot. So where does accountability really live in all this? Not in catching individuals who use the tool wrong. Leaders are accountable for the system and the guardrails around AI, where it's allowed, where it's not, and what level of human review is required. The clarity of expectations. Here's what good AI assisted work looks like. Here's what you own. The capacity and the competence to verify, do they have the training, the time, and the tools to do the kind of level of verification that they need to do? And the quality of the response, how leaders respond matters. When AI related errors happen, are we shaming and blaming, or are we learning and improving? Because we can't do both. Just like no robot can have your accountability conversations for you, no robot can carry your accountability for outcomes. It can support the work, but it cannot replace the clarity, the dialogue, and psychological safety that real accountability requires. If you're introducing AI into your organization, whether it's Copilot or Outlook or AI assisted planning in the field, remember, context drives behavior. So start with this question. Given the tools that we've introduced, what are we really expecting of our people now? And have we had the conversation that makes that clear, doable, and safe? Because if we're going to demand more accountability in a brave new world of AI, we better start by holding ourselves accountable for the context that we've created. I've got a downloadable checklist you can start with. Take a minute and think that through, because it's a new, a brave, and exciting time, which requires us to think differently.
Thank you for listening to the Drama Free Workforce Podcast. To get more information about Own Up, go to accountabilityatwork.com. To get more information about Jennifer, go to jennifertlong.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening.